Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 8. Moving on to Domynique and Mac.
The strong couple of the week.
Yeah, I mean, they're struggling, and we all saw the previews. We knew their struggle was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been trying to sort out from the very beginning, like, where it was coming from. My husband and I were talking about this today, I think it was. And I was saying, I see that it came very organically. I was expecting that it was going to be some big blowout, some misunderstanding, something more along the lines of what happened with Clint and Gina or something. And it wasn't. It was just a slow progression to, you know what? I don't really like this person that much.
Yeah.
And they're both experiencing that. When we left off from last week, Domynique had been to Mac's apartment, which wasn't his apartment. It was the basement of his friend's parents' house, something like that. And she was pretty disappointed, and she expresses her disappointment. This has been another topic. We probably could do a sidebar on this, honestly, but that my husband and I have been talking about a lot, which is why he works her nerves so much. And I get it. I do understand why his negativity is irksome to her. Mm-hmm. So she feels that way. And I think because that's like the overwhelming, like predominant feeling that she gets out of him, everything else has a trickle down effect. So everything he does, everything he doesn't do, everything he's not showing her is just getting on her nerves at this point. So going into that apartment, seeing that he doesn't have any things of his own, he's kind of like a free roamer, sort of, that makes her uncomfortable. And I don't feel like any of her concerns are not valid.
Yes.
At this point, I think she has valid concerns. And I think that he wants to just be given the benefit of the doubt somewhere. And he doesn't feel like he's getting it. So what we're seeing in this episode is his attitude tank. Right? Like, I mean, he's not there for it anymore. At first he was like, okay, yeah, I know I'm negative and I'm going to try. Okay, yeah, I get it. I'm working on it. Blah, blah, blah. He's been positive. And it kind of just got killed for him.
It did.
By the time she like kind of judged his living arrangement.
Yeah. It's been one criticism after the other for him. And let's just say he's criticized out. And he's not having it anymore. And I believe we saw the shift when they were still on the honeymoon. And she was just basically letting him know, like, not only do I want you to do these things, but I want you to be happy about it where you do it. And I think that was just a bridge too far for him. And he just like, oh, not only do you have me doing things, but you also are telling me how I need to feel about it. And so I think that was just enough for him.
I don't know if that's what pushed him over the edge or not, but if it did, I feel like it was kind of a misread maybe of what she was trying to get at. I feel like in that she was just trying to say, like, I don't want you to begrudgingly go along and do whatever it is I'm asking you to do. That's not fun for me. If I feel like I'm making you go sailing and I'm making you ride a horse and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, but since you asked me to, I'm going to do it. And, the comparison that I would make for men is just like sex, right? Like if you have a man, if your husband or whomever, your significant other, if you're sexually involved with them, and as a woman, you never really want to participate. You never want to do it. You don't initiate. You don't flirt. There's nothing there. And, when he initiates sex or he says he wants to do it, you're like, okay, I mean, since you want to, I'll do it. And you do it, right? And he's like, well, I want you to like it. Is that a bridge too far? Like, do you really want to have sex with like a log that's just lying there and not enjoying anything that's going on because it's there?
Come on now.
You don't. You want an active participant. You want somebody who enjoys the activity that you're enjoying as well. So I don't think it was that unreasonable for her to want him to be an active participant and enjoy things that they're doing.
Okay. First of all, let me get to your analogy. You can't compare having sex with riding on a horse and poop hitting your legs and all of this stuff. No.
But I mean, not all women enjoy sex the same way that men enjoy sex. So sometimes there's women, I've talked to many of them, who kind of go along with this thing. Mm-hmm. The man does not want to feel that energy. Mm-hmm. Nor would a woman. I mean, I don't have to make this gender specific. Nobody would want to. You know, as a woman, you wouldn't want to always be like, hey, you know, can we have sex? And you're like, well, I guess. Nobody wants that attitude with anything. When you have a partner, you want them to enjoy things with you together. Yeah. Whether it's sex, whether it's adventures, whether it's vacations, you don't want to feel like you're dragging them along for the ride.
Yeah, I do kind of get it. But if you already got several criticisms out there on them, just slow him down just a little bit. Let him digest the ones you've already given him. Don't just continue to pile them on one after the other. It's just like, after a while, he's just like, well, this is who I am. And I don't think I can change anymore at this juncture. I mean, we've known each other for a week and a half, and I don't even know who Mac is anymore.
But he didn't change. I mean, the whole while that they were going on these excursions or whatever, he was doing them. Yes. But he was complaining about them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was.
That didn't stop. He just basically said, like, yeah, I'll do them. I'll continue to do them, but I'm still not going to like it.
Yeah.
So there isn't a changed behavior there.
Yeah.
There's like I have no adventuresome spirit in me, and you're just going to have to deal with it, and everything that you want me to do that's like fun and exciting for you, you're going to have to recognize I'm not going to like it. You're going to have to drag me to it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to complain a little bit.
Well, I think, again, getting him to work on the activities, I think that's the first thing. And then once he gets to master those and gets, you know, his feet wet with the adventure and all of this different type of stuff, then roll in the attitude of it. I think it's just too much. I think that was too much, and then especially when she's, you know, making little, you know, sly remarks talking about, I'm glad I mentored or coached 12-year-olds and all that stuff.
Yeah,
all of that was unnecessary.
It was kind of unnecessary,
and you can kind of like see his attitude change.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a little bit of a dig that she did not have to take. That's her frustration and maybe even her youth showing, you know, in that process. But overall, I do understand her frustration with him, and I don't feel like she's been as juvenile as what I expected her to be at her age. You know, I feel like she has been trying, but they're a poor match. To be honest, they really are a bad match.
Well, Pastor Cal didn't think that they were.
No, Pastor. I mean, how can he say? Can he really go in there and say, "Yeah, we did it. We screwed this up"? They've never admitted that, you know. But he did, and I thought they did it before they even met. Like in one of the first 2 episodes that they had, I was like, "Why did they pick these people?
Put them together? That's exactly what we were saying. It was horrible,
and it's that's bearing out for us right now." Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of this episode anyway, Matt goes to see her apartment. You can tell his energy is bad. His attitude is bad. He doesn't care. And she, of course, picks up on it. And she's at the point where she's like, hey, should I even bring my stuff? They get there and apparently have a lot of off-camera conversations where, you know, he has a lot more to say than what he's showing on camera. Now, one thing that he brought up that is my first time hearing, I don't think you've probably heard this at all from him before, is about his dogs. I didn't even know Mac had dogs.
Neither did I.
You know,
not that I can remember.
Yeah, I didn't remember it. It becomes an issue because he's been living here in Nashville for 5 months, and the dogs, where are they? They're not here. Who are they with? So Domynique doesn't necessarily take him very seriously when he says how much he cares for his dogs, because she's like, well, I mean, if you cared about them so much, where are they? Yeah. And he, he's like, well, I didn't want to move them here until I had a place, an apartment, and my immediate reaction is, oh, you don't have an apartment. Like, this is a temporary a very temporary arrangement. This isn't that, because if you move your dogs here, have this apartment, that's not really a leased apartment, it's just for the show. Then if you guys get divorced at the end of 8 weeks, where they gonna go then? Back where they came from? Where were they before? They can't stay in your friend's basement. Or they would be there now, right?
Yeah.
So again, she has a legitimate point. I'm not saying he doesn't love his dogs.
Yeah.
I'm not. But it comes off a little weird when we haven't heard it said ever before. And then he's like, oh, I'm making this huge sacrifice. I don't have my dogs here.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like that whole accumulative type thing. I think it's just a lot added on to that. I think he would have been a lot more obliging, to the dog thing, if there wasn't so much of a critique on the front end of it, and especially he even opened up talking about, well, I guess I'm just a bum staying in my
I mean, his whole attitude was just off.
So yeah, and it's, like I said, it's just a week in and week out thing that we've kind of like seen.
But it isn't week in. They're 1 week into this thing.
Well, it's been a lot of criticism in this whole week. And first of all, I think married couples, you definitely have to give each other room to complain. But you got to pick what you're going to complain about, when you're going to complain about it. And you just can't pour it all on day in and day out. You just can't. You just met this guy, and I just think her showing a little bit of reluctance and a little bit ability to be a little bit more reserved with her criticisms. I think that would have helped. I just don't think they would have been in this situation so quickly. I just don't.
I don't know. I feel like everything except like the comments about coaching 12-year-olds. Is stuff that I would have said if I were her, because he is exactly the type of person that I would be incompatible with. So I fully understand how she is. She didn't want to go to Jamaica and sit around on the beach. She wanted to enjoy the experience. And she did not have someone she could enjoy the experience with. I think in your spouse, in your partner, you do want that. You want someone you enjoy experiences with.
Yes.
And that's not happening, and she doesn't foresee it happening. And she's like, this is the problem that I have. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. And right now it's getting left.
Well, she's the one that's leaving. Yes. She's the one who's not moving in. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Now, it was interesting to see Pastor Cal step in onto this situation, and Pastor Cal was hilarious because she's like, well, you got some explaining to do. He's like, no, I don't. You got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really know who's right here. He tried to convince them that, hey, we gave you guys what you needed, And I'm not so convinced that either they were specific enough about what they were asking for, or that they got what they asked for. I don't know.
In some regards, yeah, they did get what they asked for, but specifically, I don't think when it gets down to where the rubber meets the road, I don't think they got what they asked for, because they just seem so very incompatible with one another.
Or like maybe they didn't ask the right questions. Maybe they weren't saying. Maybe you don't go into something specifically anticipating that someone will be so negative about experiences. And again, I feel like that probably would have happened to me as well. Mm-hmm. I would never have thought that I would get matched with somebody like that. So I wouldn't have thought to say, hey, you know what I need is somebody who's not going to complain when we want to go horseback ride. I mean, who's thinking that specifically, that they're going to get just a complainer who mm-hmm. doesn't have any adventure in them?
Yeah.
You know, she got the short end of the stick when it comes to that.
Yeah, but you know what? Also, too, you know, you say quite often that this is not a real marriage until after the 8 weeks, mm-hmm. right? And so this is kind of like glorified dating. And so since it's glorified dating, then all right, we're off. We're in Jamaica. Let's make the best of this situation. Let's one by one put things in order. Let's get to know one another. Let's lay a good foundation starting out, right? And so since if we're gonna be on one accord with that, let's lay a good foundation. We're gonna move forward, okay? And so yes, we're on this vacation, you know, and it's very romantic. You know, there's tons of things to do. There's a lot of stuff for us to have fun with, but let's make sure that we put our best foot forward. Let's minimize this complaint stuff.
But he didn't put his best foot forward.
How come he didn't?
Because it was trash. His effort was trash. Like, it's not putting his best foot forward. I'm so surprised and I'm mad at you for sympathizing with him in this way. Like, he was miserable to be with. That's, to me, is not putting your best foot forward. Like, can you be an enjoyable person to be around or no?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, first of all, he thought that he was.
You thought wrong.
He thought that he was because he's trying to be enjoyable by cracking jokes. And he's trying to be jovial.
But they were horrible jokes.
But to him, they weren't. To him, they weren't, though. And so it's just like, again, like,
you don't get to tell the jokes and be in the audience.
Well,
so if you're telling jokes that are falling flat, why are you still telling them? He did that to her, you know, at the dinner table, talking about how he built the table and caught the fish. And it was just, everything was so silly and so goofy. She wasn't liking that. Yeah. And I kind of forgot to even address that because we're talking about the bigger picture here.
Yes.
But it's like, she doesn't like how goofy he is. His jokes are corny. You know, he doesn't like to do anything. He, for her, is just an unpleasant person to be around. And if I'm dating, if this is glorified dating, I'm just not going to do it anymore. We're not having another date.
Yeah.
So if I'm her, I'm like, I'm cool with checking out. She said, I'm going home and taking a bath.
Yeah, that's basically what she did. But how is there a way, even like I said, in this glorified dating, is there a way to kind of like get on the other side of this and really get to know the person? Because all of this stuff is pretty much paint on the wall. It's none of it. I don't think any of it is just this person is a horrible person or this person is unredeemable. I don't see any.
No, she doesn't think he's a bad person, but I think that's the risk that you run in situations like this when you don't know someone well and all you have to judge them off of is small things. Everything that she has to judge him off of turned out bad. It did. Like, she doesn't like his sense of humor. Yeah. She doesn't like his sense of adventure or fun.
Yeah.
She doesn't like his living arrangement. She does not really vibe with dogs. And he's saying that these dogs are so important. There's like nothing about him that she enjoys. And they don't have a deeper foundation than that because they just met each other. So, I mean, if anybody's going to walk away from the situation, I think it's them. They should. It's an incompatibility there.
It's definitely, but I don't know. You know what? I'm forever the optimistic. And as bad as it is, to me, it just seemed like Pastor Cal was saying, as he was sitting there, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember actually how he said it. And I know how you don't like, for, misquotes.
Go ahead. I got some grace in me. Go ahead and misquote Pastor Cal.
But he was just like, all this stuff y'all are talking about is stupid. I don't know what you signed up to be married, so let's work through this thing as a married couple, because everything that you're saying, I'm listening, and there's nothing here that prompts me to say that you shouldn't be together, you know? And
no, I get it, but that's almost something that you would say to a couple that's been married for years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if all of a sudden you and I was like, baby, your jokes are real corny. Like,
that would hurt my feelings.
But that's not going to break us up, right? Because we've been married for years. So it's just, they don't have that.
Yeah.
All they have is what they've known about each other for a week. Mm-hmm. And it's bad. It's been like bad after bad after bad. And for him, it seems like, I don't know how bad it's been, like his experience with her, but we know at least there's one thing that he doesn't like in terms of the dogs. So I don't know if he's sitting on some other stuff that he's just decided not to talk about also. But if it's just all this bad stuff, I don't know that it is redeemable for them at this point. I don't know if they even have, once your attitude starts to sour that early, I think it's kind of hard to turn it around.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Once the attitude and the feelings kind of like come in there, and a person like she just said, I'm over it.
It's nothing to save it.
Yeah, you know? and we knew what she meant when she said she's over it. She wasn't talking about I'm over this conversation.
Yeah.
She's talking about she's over this whole experience, this marriage, this relationship, whatever. She's talking about she's over Mac. You know, go get me somebody else because he wasn't the right one. You know, so, you know, she's done. And you know what? For all intents and purposes, Mac is done too. Yeah. Both of them are done. So I don't see what would be the purpose on really for them to continue in this, because like you said, when the feelings come in, it's pretty much over. The negative feelings that they have for one another is over. But on the flip side of that, my optimistic side say, all of your feelings I get, but the circumstances of what you're supposed to be the source of your feelings, that was like small potato stuff.
Well, we're going to see if they can get to some big potatoes, because I don't see it. I don't see it coming. Yeah. This is down the toilet for me.
Yeah. You know, because this is like, they haven't talked about it, but I guess obviously he has a marijuana company or something like that. So obviously, if all these people getting high, he got to have a good business going on. And so,
but that's not what she's talking. She don't care about that.
You know,
that wasn't even a factor that she brought up. He brought that up.
He did, didn't he?
Because he's feeling self-conscious about living in someone's basement. He felt the need to say that to kind of redeem himself. Yeah. That is not something that she brought up as an issue, at least not where we could see it. So, you know, that's his own personal feelings about it. But anyway, guys, we could talk about this back and forth for the next 15 minutes. Yeah. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about them? Is there any redemption? Do you guys kind of side more with Domynique or with Mackinley? Because I can feel her. I sympathize with Mackinley, but only because I feel like they were a poor match. I think he could have been matched with someone who was better suited for him and could have dealt with his corniness and, you know, his lack of adventure and even living in someone's basement. I think he could have been matched with somebody who was just, you know, like whatever. But he wasn't. He was matched with somebody who has a sense of adventure and doesn't like corny jokes. So, you know, that's how I am. I'm more like Domynique. Like, I don't like corny jokes, and I don't like boring people. So, I get it. I understand.
Okay. All right.
So, drop those comments below, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you guys soon.